When 17-year-old Ayan opened his eyes, his entire body was shaking. The air was cold, damp, and silent. As his vision cleared, he realized he was lying on the floor of a small underground concrete room. There were no windows, no visible door, only 4 cracked walls and an old speaker hanging above him. Suddenly, the speaker crackled to life. "Don't try to escape, or you'll disappear just like the others." But how did Ayan end up here? Just a few hours earlier, he had been riding home after tuition. His motorcycle suddenly broke down near a lonely forest. He noticed a white van parked nearby. Someone inside called for help. The moment he stepped closer and looked inside, everything went black. Now he was trapped in a place that seemed impossible to escape. Every morning, a tray of food mysteriously appeared inside the room, yet Ayan never saw anyone enter. The speaker repeated the same message every single day. "Follow the rules, and you'll stay alive." To keep track of time, Ayan scratched a mark into the wall each day. 10 days, 25, 60, 100. He slowly began to believe the outside world had forgotten him forever. One night, while cleaning beneath the old metal bed, he noticed a folded piece of paper hidden underneath. It contained only 4 words. "Check behind the vent." Ayan carefully removed the air vent. Hidden inside was an old mobile phone. The battery showed only 2%. There was no signal, but one video file remained. He pressed play. A frightened teenage boy appeared on the screen. "If you're watching this, I probably didn't make it. This isn't the only room, there are many of us trapped down here." The recording suddenly ended. For the first time, Ayan realized he was not the only prisoner. Every day, Ayan secretly loosened one screw from the air vent. Weeks later, it finally came free. Behind it was a narrow underground tunnel. He crawled through the darkness for what felt like hours. Eventually, he reached a massive iron gate. Beyond it were 10 identical prison rooms. Every room was empty. Except one. On the floor lay an old diary covered in dust. The final page contained a chilling warning. Anyone who escapes, never truly makes it home. Every day, Ayan secretly loosened one screw from the air vent. Weeks later, it finally came free. Behind it was a narrow underground tunnel. He crawled through the darkness for what felt like hours. Eventually, he reached a massive iron gate. Beyond it were 10 identical prison rooms. Every room was empty. Except one. On the floor lay an old diary covered in dust. The final page contained a chilling warning. Anyone who escapes, never truly makes it home. Ayan forced himself through the narrow tunnel until he finally saw daylight. Every movement felt painful. His hands were bleeding, his clothes were torn, and his lungs burned as he crawled out of the underground passage into the middle of a silent forest. He looked back only once. The opening that had saved his life was hidden beneath thick bushes, almost impossible to notice. Without stopping, he ran as fast as he could through the forest until he reached a lonely road. A passing driver noticed the terrified teenager waving for help and immediately stopped. The driver was shocked by Ayan's condition and called the police. Within minutes, officers arrived and took Ayan to the nearest police station. For the next 4 hours, Ayan explained every detail. The underground prison. The mysterious speaker. The daily food trays. The hidden mobile phone. The frightened boy in the video. The tunnel. The diary. Every word sounded unbelievable. Some officers quietly whispered that the boy might be suffering from trauma or hallucinations. But one senior detective believed there was only one way to know the truth. They returned to the forest before sunrise. Ayan confidently guided them through the same path. He recognized every tree. Every rock. Every broken branch. Finally, he stopped. His face turned pale. The tunnel was gone. There was only untouched ground covered with leaves. The officers searched the area for 6 hours. Search dogs found nothing. Ground-penetrating scanners detected no underground structures. Metal detectors remained completely silent. It was as if the prison had never existed. The detective looked directly at Ayan. "Son, according to government records, no building has ever existed in this forest." Ayan couldn't speak. His hands were shaking. Then he remembered something. He reached into his backpack and pulled out the dusty diary. The detective carefully opened it. Every page contained names, dates, short messages. Many of them ended with exactly the same sentence. "I couldn't escape." Then they reached the final page. Written in old black ink. One name stood alone. Ayan. The detective frowned. He checked the first page. The diary had been written 12 years earlier. Silence filled the room. How could Ayan's name appear inside a diary written years before he had ever entered the forest? The diary was sent to a forensic laboratory. 3 days later. The results arrived. The paper was 12 years old. The ink was 12 years old. Even the handwriting showed signs of natural aging. Nothing had been added recently. It was impossible. The case became national news for a few days. Then suddenly,